Major Keyhole, as author of the book Flying Saucers Are Real, what is your opinion of these new sightings of unidentified objects?
With all due respect to the Air Force, I believe that some of them will prove to be of interplanetary origin. During a 3-year investigation, I found that many pilots have described objects of substance and high speed. One case, pilots reported their plane was buffeted by an object which passed them at 500 miles an hour. Obviously, this was a solid object, and I believe it was from outer space.
It's the most frequently asked question, are we alone?
Well, again, very difficult to estimate, but there are stars which are billions of years older than our sun. Some of them very likely have planets, and therefore I can imagine civilizations immensely beyond the capabilities of our own.
Physical contact and proof from another system, another planet, another intelligence.
Are we alone? The universe. Most of us cannot even comprehend how vast it is. Some new scientific measurements have suggested that the universe is about 13.8 billion years old, harboring billions and billions of cosmic objects, from little tiny asteroids to humongous galaxies. There could be at least 100 billion planets in our own galaxy alone, but are we alone?
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucer.
UFOs. They've perplexed and fascinated people for decades.
Since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1 and 2,000 reports.
Numerous military reports, testimonials from officials, civilians around the world. The UFO sightings have fascinated the public for decades. But despite the existence of hundreds of photos and videos, we still have no scientific proof that the Earth is visited by non-Earthlings.
It would be inexcusably egocentric to suggest that we are alone in the cosmos.
It all started with Kenneth Arnold. As for many, the modern history of UFO sightings would begin on June 24th, 1947. The American aviator and businessman, while flying over Mount Rainier in Washington state, is said to have observed 9 strange objects moving at a staggering speed of about 2,600 kilometers per hour. That's over 1,600 miles per hour. Arnold also claimed to have seen UFOs on several subsequent occasions. Arnold's sightings was followed by thousands of similar sightings across the world. But this highly publicized account was the one that resulted in the popularity of the term flying saucer by US newspapers. But perhaps we should talk briefly about the top 3 most legitimate cases of UFO sightings that haven't been confirmed to be fake. These are in no particular order. The disappearance of Frederick Valentich. This case took place on October 21st, 1978, along the Australian coast, when the 20-year-old pilot aboard the Cessna 182 radioed Melbourne Air Traffic Control to report that a large unknown aircraft was following him and asked if another aircraft was flying in the same area as him, but the controller replied there was no known traffic at that level.
Juliet, is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet?
No known traffic.
Valentich then told the control tower that the aircraft was orbiting above him now, and he reported that the thing has a green light on it and has a rather shiny metal surface. He said he was unable to confirm its type. Valentich further reported that he was experiencing engine problems, and when he was asked to identify the aircraft, his last words were, "It's not an aircraft." His transmission was then interrupted by a mysterious noise described as being metallic, scraping sounds, before all contact was lost. To this day, no material proof of his death have been brought. Frederick Valentich is still officially considered as missing. Westall Ufo Encounter. On April 6, 1966, Australia was the scene of a very strange spectacle. A class of students and teachers from 2 schools witnessed one of the most mysterious UFO sightings that still remains a mystery to this day, 55 years later.
We were out playing sport on the oval. One of the kids yelled out, look up in the sky, it's flying saucers.
What makes this case really unique is the number of eyewitnesses involved. As it was reported, more than 200 students and teachers stood in awe as they watched the flying object descended into a nearby open widegrass field where it landed. They all agreed that the gray saucer-shaped object remained immobile for approximately 20 minutes for no apparent reason before climbing at speed and vanishing into the clouds. Battle of Los Angeles, 1942, aka the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, occurred several months after the United States entered World War II and following the Imperial Japanese Navy's attack on Pearl Harbor. The Battle of Los Angeles was a mysterious event in which U.S. armed forces fought against unidentified flying objects. On the night between February 24th and 25th, 1942, U.S. Naval Intelligence issued a warning that an attack on mainland California could be expected within the next 10 hours. At 2:25 a.m., the air raid sirens blared throughout Los Angeles County after the radars spotted a UFO some 190 kilometers west of the city. At 3:16 a.m., a UFO was observed over Santa Monica, which led the 37th Coast Artillery Brigade to open fire. Anti-aircraft guns were used for several hours. More than 1,400 shells were fired without hitting a single aircraft. Numerous testimonies report the presence of several flying objects of different shapes and sizes, often confused with the shells and flares of the anti-aircraft defense. The city's searchlights tried to locate the aircraft and sweep the skies over Los Angeles. Starting at 4:14 a.m., the artillery fire became sporadic. Initially, many believed it to be Japanese forces, but after the war ended in 1945, the Japanese government declared that they had flown no airplane over Los Angeles during the war. Although every single one of these compelling UFO sightings have not been confirmed to be fake and others more, we can't help it but think that the majority of these so-called civilian UFO sightings are probably pure fabrications. But nevertheless, the most perplexing ones are still up for debate, just like a rational and scientific explanation. Out of curiosity.